I'll press it.
I got it.
Oh, there we go.
It's artificial intelligence, just me.
Wow, wow. Well, hello everyone who's checking out the live feed or watching it afterwards, or I don't know. I guess that would be it because we don't put this part in the podcast, the audio podcast.
Yeah, not really. No.
So you miss all the fun stuff of us going, oh my goodness, I'm not ready yet. Let's get things going here. Yeah, I got lots of notes here. We'll see if I can make any sense out of what my thoughts are on what we're going to be talking about.
We're supposed to be taking notes?
You don't have to. It's nice, but you don't have to.
Oh, you used your remarkable. Look at that.
I have loads of notes.
Yeah, I've watched it several times, but one of the times to get the screen captures was at like 25% speed. So it's hard to get emotions out.
You get some really long fight scenes.
You were watching it at 25 speed?
I was watching it at 0.25. So 25.
Yeah, but I mean,
because when I want to get a screen capture, I want to get the particular image.
Right.
So
I forgot you said screen capture. That's right.
Right. So I would, yeah. No, if I was.
Are you getting that through your browser or?
Yeah, I have it up in the browser.
Huh? Because I try to take screen captures a lot of times off of Netflix or Paramount, and
blacks it out.
The OS knows, hey, you can't do that, and it blacks it out. I get a.
I'm just using the VLC, so I have that on one screen, and I do a screen capture.
Okay.
And then, I then have my video editing program open and a macro that says take the clipboard and make it into a PNG and put it in the file so that I can use that when I create the video.
Wow, Clinton, a little hacker. I hear you.
Got a whole workflow for this.
Right.
I
just watched it finished it up about 30, 45 minutes ago.
First time or?
No. It's the second time. I watched it the other day and I was letting it sink in and I saw a bunch of, comments and stuff online. I watched it again. I just wanted it fresh in my head when we get here.
All right. Ready to begin?
Yes, let's.
Okie doke. In 3, 2.
This is The Topic is Trek, episode 176 for Friday, January 31st, 2025. Coming up in this episode, Diane predicts. We discuss the first Star Trek streaming movie event. You tell us what you think about the movie too. All that right now on The Topic is Trek. Dissection 31. Welcome to The Topic is Trek, the podcast that runs on impulse power. Join us for a journey where no show has gone before. If it has to do with Star Trek, there's a good chance we'll talk about it sooner or later, because on this show, the topic is Trek. Engage already. Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another thrill-packed edition of The Topic is Trek. I am Clinton, one of your co-hosts, and in order to be a co-host, naturally, I have to have other hosts join me. So first off, beaming in from parts unknown with the hip new catchphrase that they'll be even talking about in the Mirror Universe is Mr. Craig Stepp. Oh,
beautifully done on mute.
Or maybe that's the hip new catchphrase. I'm not sure.
Yeah. The hip new catchphrase is you're still on mute.
Yes, I got it. I said, "Battle is not a simulation. It's blood, screams, and funerals."
Okay.
Is that catchy?
Kind of fits. I like them better on mute.
It's not something you can easily work in at a party, but that's hey, how
Hey, it's a quote from Philippa.
I was gonna say, how was your weekend? Oh, right. Oh, okay. Calm down.
Blood, screams, and funerals.
I thought it was still the sex, drugs, and rock and roll thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sex, lies, and videotape. I don't know. Eat, love, pray. Something. Jeez.
Eat, love,
All right. And also beaming into
Watch,
joining
rinse,
us
repeat.
That's right.
is Mr. Chuck Tomasi.
All right, for this show, I have copious notes, which means I went to copious 3 and bought them on the black market.
Ah, yes.
Focus
Well,
3.
is that in the neutral zone? Is that in Beyond Federation space?
That was quite the detailed map that we'll get to.
It was
Yeah.
indeed. And
Yeah.
yes, I was looking for one particular thing which I didn't see. I'll see if you guys look for it as well.
All right.
Space Station K7.
Nope,
88.
nope, that's not it. I was looking for Starbase 80.
Yeah. That's what I was trying to say. Starbase 80.
We lost their transponder. They're not high-tech enough.
Right.
So last episode, we did our predictions for this year. And after the show, listener Diane called into the listener line for The Topic is Trek. And Chuck, that number again is?
1. I'm scrolling to the bottom because I can't remember.
We're all waiting. What's the
That's
next number?
816 Trekker.
816 Trekker. I knew the Trekker part. I couldn't remember the area code we gave it. 816 Trekker.
3.
And she left us a message. So do you want to
Yes, let's roll that.
Hi, this is listener Diane. You guys finally get to hear my voice. My 5 predictions for 2025 are as follows. Universal Studios will once again have a license agreement with Paramount for either a Star Trek themed ride or experience in one of their theme parks.
Ooh.
2, another Oscar-winning actor or actress will appear in one of the shows that airs in 2025. This is in addition to Holly Hunter and Michelle. Number 3, Sonuka Martin Green will appear as Burnham, is either a flashback or in a holodeck. Number 4, an actor who has portrayed the Doctor will appear in Star Trek. And number 5, one of the children of the original TOS cast will have a cameo on Strange New Worlds. Everybody live long and prosper, and don't forget, don't put on the red shirt.
Woohoo!
Well, I remembered and Craig remembered, but Chuck.
Yeah.
It's a good one, though. It says live long and prosper, at least.
Oh, well, that's kind of
Good for about 10 minutes.
yeah.
2 out of 3 ain't bad.
So
When she said one of the children of the original TOS cast, is that like William Shatner's grandson, or is that Captain Kirk's?
well, I think
offspring?
she said one of the children of the original TOS cast, and I'm not sure whether she meant like LeVar's daughters
Right.
appeared in it or whether it's supposed to, so I'm not sure what she means by that, but well, she's
Also,
actually in the chat, so
You can put it in the chat, right?
we can clarify that.
She also mentioned the Doctor. So which Doctor are we talking about?
So she's
Doctor
talking
Who?
about Doctor
Or-
Who Doctor, I believe.
Oh,
okay. Yeah. Okay.
Because we already know that someone who plays the Doctor is in Starfleet Academy. So
I vote for Matt Smith.
Tennant's the real Doctor.
So
Everyone's got their favorite.
so Diana's saying IRL. So you're talking
In real
about
life.
one of the actor's actual
Yeah.
children. Okay. All right. That'll be interesting. However, I'm not going to go and check our predictions, but Diane has already have one of hers come true because spoiler alert. Do we have the spoiler alert? Really
We
quickly?
do. Where is it? That's the warp drive. There it is.
Spoiler alert. Spoiler alert.
Academy Award winner Jamie Lee Curtis did appear in Section 31.
And we did
That's
not
right.
know that ahead of time.
No,
The trailer.
so one down. By the way, everybody seems to forget that Paul Giamatti has won an Academy Award. I've seen several. They go, oh, like Academy Award.
What he
winners, like,
did?
yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So throw him in there too. But she said, not somebody we've already talked about. So that wouldn't have
Okay.
wouldn't have counted. But nope, one down already.
He gets one of these. There we go.
And we're not going to have any subspace chatter this week. I will just briefly mention what I was going to talk about, though, because I was having internet issues the past day or so, and this story was rather late breaking. But there was that period when Paramount was negotiating with Skydance, and there was that free to shop period.
Mhm.
If you remember that, but essentially, oh, well, we're going to have a deal, but you've got this period where you can shop around. Actually, I think it was Paramount that requested it. I don't think Skydance was thrilled with it. There was another bidder that came in, and they've reared their head and said, hey, our deal is better. Matter of fact, we've now gotten more money behind it, and you should go with our bid instead. It seems on the surface that their Paramount is saying that they will still be going with Skydance, but I don't think that's the end of that story. So next episode, I'll have some more information about it because it's really just developing right now. And matter of fact, the what is it? Project Rise, I believe, is the group that is trying to outbid Skydance at this point. And we don't even know all the players. And I'm hoping that by the time we do the next show, we'll know who was involved with Project Rise.
Mhm. I did see that one of the articles you were talking about where they said they were pretty much engaged with Skydance now and they were going to stay there. And I was like, oh, well, that was quick. And then there was another article you were talking about with more money. I'm like, okay, what's going on? But then I thought Clinton's going to fill us in.
I will. And now, like I said, I'll have much more details because all of the stories, you could tell it was just breaking because a lot of the stories were really short and just didn't have a lot of information in them. So I want to get some more and let you know so that we can do the Battle for Paramount Mountain Part 11. Actually, I was in the chapters, so it would be Chapter 11, which is not a good chapter to be in.
You should start a blog.
Or you could call them sections. This would be Section 11. Well, eventually get to Section 31.
I was going to say, wait till we get to Section 31.
Where we have mission briefings instead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Like,
all right.
What happened
Report.
to operations A through G?
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, we are about to go out on our main mission with an appropriate sound effect.
Oh, we need a sound effect.
We do. An appropriate one, please. Spare no expense. No expense at all on this
I
one.
think you just ordered a cheeseburger.
In Paradise or on
Yeah,
Paradise or
that's right.
Paradise City, but that's Star Trek V, and that's completely different. So, who wants to give us the lowdown on this one?
The suspense is killing us.
I will. I'll volunteer Craig for this.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I got to scroll down a little bit. All right. So this is Section 31, a Paramount streaming movie event. Screenplay is by Craig Sweeney. Story by Bo Yeon. Yeon. I said that right? Yeon Kim and Erica Lipdolt. Directed by Antelinde Asunami. I know. Shut up.
You see what I have to
Ansunami.
work with?
Ansunami.
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 I know that because he did so many episodes of Discovery. I had to
Oh yeah.
get that
Yeah.
name down.
Yeah. So the
And,
short synopsis.
yeah,
I
go
was
ahead.
going to read. I was going to
Yeah.
keep on reading, man.
Yep.
So short synopsis: Emperor Philippa Georgiou joins a secret division of Starfleet tasked with protecting the United Federation of Planets. She must also face the sins of her past.
All right. Where do we begin? With
At the
Section
beginning.
31? Yeah.
Yeah. During the Hunger Games.
Shield, with the Delta Shield, with the garbage scow flying around.
Yeah.
You always have to keep an eye on the ship that's making the Delta Shield.
I know. When I saw that, I was like, "Oh, what ship is that? I can't see it." And I was trying-
It looks like
And
cargo.
that was probably your best shot of it
I don't
in the
recognize
opening
it.
credits.
Yeah. So Yeah, we had the opening credits, and then
Well, one thing that I noticed though, but because I probably won't stop when we get there, is that this is billed as Star Trek colon section 31, but the
mhm.
credit in the movie just says section 31. So which is it?
Did
Hmm.
I have did it not have Star Trek at the top or
Nope.
tiny?
No,
Nope.
not even on my
Nope.
TV when they had all the panels of. I wasn't even in the Paramount app yet. It was just
Hmm.
listed as section 31. Very hard to find. Odd coloring on that artwork. It was like red and yellow.
Yeah. So what did you
Oh,
guys?
you mean in Paramount the web app? Oh,
Yeah, but I
No,
mean,
I
yeah.
was on the Samsung TV looking at the main screen. So they have, here's some stuff you might like, and here's a list of apps you can start up, and here's some games you can play. And in among there was section 31 icon, the little rectangle that was, I don't know, difficult to find. It was not branded as Star Trek very well.
Well, I think that's one of the things that a lot of people are
oh,
commenting on. That
it does say Star Trek in it. The section 31, the I says Star Trek in it, and the little logo for the movie has a Star Trek at the very top.
no, I'm talking about the actual on the actual screen when the Delta Shield shows up and it says section 31.
Okay, now you're
which would
talking
be
about
the
the
title
movie.
of the movie.
I
Yeah.
got you.
There's no Star Trek above it.
And the Star Trek, when they made the Delta Shield, it started out backwards and then flipped forward. So you
I
knew
know.
it had to do with the mirror universe.
I was like, oh, I see what's coming.
I see what
Yeah.
they did there.
You can't fool me, Paramount.
So what did everybody think about the contest that Giorgio and San were
Oh,
the
yeah.
lucky finalists in?
The Hunger
Yeah.
Games,
Yeah.
You stole my line. Ugh.
everybody said the same thing,
I
Craig.
know.
I for the mirror universe, this is out of character for a way to pick an an emperor, because the way you would move up in rank is basically kill the person above you in rank. We were introduced to that in TOS. But yet
also-
we pick our emperor with a contest.
hmm
Didn't Yoshi
Right.
become emperor or was vying for emperor, in the two-parter on Enterprise in the
Mhm.
mirror universe? Because she now had the Tantalus field.
That's right.
So yeah, I mean,
Seemed a little out of place.
what they were doing to win the contest seemed very on brand.
Sure. Kill your family, cut all past ties.
Yeah. You know, actually, at first I thought, okay, this is young Giorgio. She's hanging out with her family after being gone for whatever competition. For the emperor, and she's having a sweet moment with him. I was like, well, this is a softer side of her. And then I was like, well, maybe not.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that went south quickly.
And then,
I know.
then you get promoted and you have to burn your boyfriend, literally.
Yeah.
He says, couldn't you just ghost me instead? Nope. Got to do this.
And
Yeah.
my dad joke for that is sans her boyfriend. See what I did there?
hmm Yeah.
You've been waiting on that one, haven't you?
Oh yeah, I came up with that about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. But that was kind of that was pretty disturbing though, killing her own family. I was like, wow. And of course, Sans couldn't do it.
Right,
Never be
which-
able to say his name the same way again.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I felt like watching it a second time. I said, somehow this is a more interesting movie than the one that follows this scene, though.
You know what? Okay. Do you remember side little tangent, but the Man of Steel with Superman, the whole Krypton sequence at the beginning? I was like, wow, I could watch a whole movie of this, because it seemed very interesting. And I wouldn't say that I didn't dislike the rest of the movie, but I know how you feel, because I was like, oh, I want to see more of this. And then we go back to the Prime universe.
Yeah. So, I also thought it was very strange that you have everyone beamed down, but not in a circle so they can all see what's going on.
No, it was just
in a
like
straight line.
Hey, that'd have been funny. Some guy in the back's going,
I can't
Yeah.
see.
What?
Front.
Like Monty
What?
Python.
What'd she say?
And can you hear it? No. Said something about the weak shall inherit the mirth.
She said that
Murder.
there's sand in something place, and I don't know.
She
I don't
brought
know.
frankincense and myrrh.
I don't
What?
really like sand.
Yeah.
No, she didn't say sand. She said sand.
Oh, because that sand gets everywhere. No, stop now.
Well, I also thought it was interesting. They beam in I guess a battalion or patrol, and then he goes boom, 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 and he got a little faster as they got to the end.
Yeah, it's like speed it up.
Yeah, yeah,
The
yeah.
transporter's all warmed up now. We're ready to go.
right.
So you have to, in order for that to happen, you have to have that many transporters in sync with
hold
each
that
other,
many
or a
people.
heck of a big room that's just one giant transporter.
Yep.
Actually, not even one room, because they all appeared so fast. You would have to have multiple giant transporter rooms.
Well,
Yeah.
if you
Move up.
want to, it's a warlike society, so you
It was
have to
also
move
a
very
huge ship.
quickly.
It was
Yeah,
a huge
Very
ship.
huge ship. How they managed to park that baby just 50 feet off the ground and keep it there.
Very
My
carefully.
compliments to the pilot.
That's how they did it. Very, very carefully. All right. So we then take a leap forward from there to beyond the edge of Federation space and a space station of indeterminate size. I really don't have a sense of how big the Baram is. Did you get, because you've got little spaceships flying around, but are
Right.
they big spaceships or little spaceships? And
We did have one view where they kind of zoomed into her office window. So it looked fairly big, but it wasn't, tens of kilometers across, in my opinion. It was big, but not, I don't know, the size of a starbase-ish kind of thing.
well, it's interesting because in the later seasons of Star Trek Discovery, starbases could warp, and so apparently can the Baram.
The second time I watched that, I came away with a different conclusion because
Oh.
everything warped at the same time. I figured, we'd kind of jump into the end, but we warped away from them. That's why everything at once
Except
went,
that they were like going in little. They were going in tiny bits, like those spaceships that were all around it. Some from every aspect around it, in front of it and back of it, were all doing that thing.
You're,
So
ta-
why
you're
wouldn't
talking
they all
about at
be
the end sequence.
yeah, why wouldn't they all be just retracting
They
back
all-
in the same?
It looked like all the ships kind of left, and then the bar kind of and took off at the end of it.
I think it was warping away because you had that effect there at the, the
There were
Yeah,
like
well,
hundreds of ships, though. They would have
I
had
know.
them all in synchronicity pretty close.
yeah. So I really couldn't figure that out. I have another problem with the end, but we'll get to the end.
Okay, we'll
later.
get eventually. Just fast forward about 4 hours from now.
Yes. All right. So I talked about being an awful big space station, and my first disappointment with this movie, we got absolutely no context as to why there was a Charon character there.
Yeah, he just
Nothing.
there and
There,
as a
Yep.
servant, and that was it.
undermining the whole plot and meaning of that episode. Just
Virgil
just
was
gonna
the
show up.
waiter. They just wanted to throw some different races at us because we could. Here's someone we haven't seen in about 60 years. Throw
Well,
him
there's a
in there.
reason for that, guys. You see,
Yeah, I
they're all
was like,
supposed to be dead now.
well, remember when we saw the trailer, and we were like, oh, they brought that race back for 5 minutes, and that was it.
Virgil the waiter. Yep.
Virgil. Yeah.
I did like the music though that the entertainer was singing.
Very Fifth Element.
Yeah. Yeah, somebody we have a note about that someone sent in. It's tough because it's always tough when you have these bar scenes, and science fiction movies love to have bar scenes.
Hmm.
And so, like, what kind of music is the performer doing? Is it contemporary? Is it futuristic? And this one was like, we'll just use everything. This one's
Yeah.
futuristic. This one's
Yeah.
contemporary.
It was a little bit of a mix, I think. Yeah.
Throw in Sly Snoodle singing Laptinek. Why not?
No, let's not. That's a bridge too far, I think,
Yeah.
even for the Baroom.
Yeah.
People are out there making
Act-
requests. Laptinek! Woo!
Actually, when Giorgio was walking into the bar
Mhm.
and the cameras behind her following, and you hear the music is very reminiscent of the Star Trek with Uhura walking into the bar.
Yes, I thought the same thing. There just wasn't
Mhm.
enough quite beat in that
Yeah,
song. They're like,
wasn't
wow.
loud enough.
And
Yeah, it wasn't
they
bright
did
enough.
another one later. I thought, boy, that felt like the Star Trek movie Uhura entrance scene.
And nobody was ordering a bud or whatever.
She's like, "Who left the Star Trek soundtrack running?"
Hey, we already paid for that song. We can use it again.
Okay, here comes Sabotage next. No, stop. Don't do
That's
it.
right.
I felt like when Giorgio first appears, it was a bit of a letdown because she's putting on this persona of being this French entrepreneur,
Mhm.
and it didn't quite feel like Giorgio, which I think that was an intentional thing, but it was odd because it's Philippa Giorgio. We haven't seen her in how's she doing? It's like, oh,
She's
like
mellowed out over the
name.
years. When she went through the Guardian, she mellowed out.
Ah.
Did the Guardian send her to the same time?
The Guardian sent her one place and one place only, and this would be it. This is the time and place that she got
Okay.
sent to.
Because we get
Now-
a star date in there of what was it, 1294?
Yeah.
Wait.
But for you,
So
11.99.
no, she wasn't here the whole time. She was with Star Section 31,
And they lost
and then they
track.
said she
No.
after a couple.
No.
They said after a couple years, then she was missing.
Yeah, no. Remember your timelines here. She was part of Section 31
Right.
while we're in the early seasons of Discovery. She was already part of Section 31
Oh.
before they got sent.
So her
So
mysterious
they lost track of her because she
disappearance
went
was
to
the
the future,
Guardian?
and they don't know. No one's supposed to know that that's where Discovery went. So suddenly, she's just gone,
Oh,
and then she reappears again.
yeah, you're right. I forgot all about that. You're right. So they don't know that she went anywhere other than to this bar,
Well,
or
yes,
disappeared
in
for a while.
theory, right? In theory, they even though they know she's from the mirror universe, they don't know that she went into the future and was brought
Right,
back
right.
by the Guardian of Forever.
Yeah. See, I forgot.
I mean, let's not be ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. I've forgotten all about that. You're right.
Okay, so she meets with this guy who gets introduced. And does he introduce himself originally with his real name?
He is introduced by the Sharon with his real name,
Okay. Which was Alok?
Alok
Alok.
Sahar.
Okay. And they go to her private quarters and do some sparkly.
Some dulcet thistle.
A glitterita. It's a
Pretty
glitterita.
much.
Yeah.
And I like how the fact that
After you drink it, it comes out your nose and mouth.
yeah, she just like exhales glitter. It's
Yeah.
That
Amazing.
stuff goes everywhere. You never get glitter on.
Imagine cleaning up the bar the next day. Dang, this stuff's terrible to get up.
Who brought the glitter? No wonder it's illegal.
I did like the fact that she apparently already knew what was up, but
Yeah.
she figures, hey, I haven't tried this stuff before, so I'll have him give me the stuff, and then I'll reveal that I know what's going on here.
Mhm.
And that's, there's some foreshadowing going on there that she's really smart, very observant, and he says the past always catches up with you.
Mm-hmm. And we find out, his backstory later with some of that becomes true for him as well.
Right.
Then we get our first Ocean's 11 type moment of many in this part of the movie where she rattles off everybody that's in the bar and how she recognized who they were and nails, this one, that one, the other one. She doesn't get, like, especially the Vulcan, she doesn't get quite right, but she identifies that is one of the agents.
Mhm.
And I know some people said, oh, and then here, Alok just kind of gives up Garrett's name. And I thought about that, and there was no reason for him not to, because he came into that room with the intention of either you are going to join this mission or we're going to be on your butt for the rest of your life. So
Yeah.
you figure, why not? Might as well give them their names because that's what she's going to be working with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at first I went, well, we knew Rachel Garrett was going to be in the movie
Yep.
as a character, but then when they said her name, I went, oh, that's her. I didn't realize that was her at first.
The hair is different. Yes.
Yeah, I'd forgotten all about it.
She borrowed the wig from Eve Harlow. We got that on sale too, so let's reuse it.
hmm
There's
there
the
it is.
picture right on screen.
Yeah, there it is.
Close. I mean, they put a little blue dye in it.
You think anyone will notice? No. It's fine. It's fine.
They didn't give Mel a wig. She's a Delton.
Yeah.
They didn't give her much screen time either.
Well, that's the thing is that I
No.
thought there were two characters in this movie and the other one's being dumped off the barge as we speak. Mel and Zeph, I felt like, oh, that was a waste of those characters.
Initially I felt like there's a character or two too many in here. So culling the herd. so
But I
to
would have
speak,
been
was
happy
that-
I would have been happy to not have Garrett in it, to have Mel in there, because we
Yeah.
would get to see how a Delton works in this environment. We get glimpses of it because she's able to diffuse or stop somebody in their tracks, you know,
Right.
by turning on her Deltoness, if you will.
Deltonus.
But then she turns around and starts kicking butt at the same time.
hmm
So I really would have liked to have seen more of that.
Yeah, why did they kill her off? I mean, they
Well,
went through the trouble of introducing this character along with everybody else, and then she was dead 3-4 minutes after that.
and that's another problem I have with the movie is that in order for that to mean something, you have to have connected with that character.
Right.
Yeah, you got to get to know him. Yeah.
Otherwise, it's just, oh, there's somebody I knew for like 30 seconds in this movie and they're dead. And I guess I should feel something.
Yeah. Yeah. So that was kind of a letdown.
Just
So
shoot
to your
Virgil.
point, if the team had been smaller, even in those few scenes that we had, like when they're all being introduced and so forth, everybody there would have been able to contribute more. You get more of a sense of them.
Yep.
You know, I think that would have helped to ahead of this being killed off type
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
But I also like the way that she went out angry. She just had this
Accusing
look on her face like,
anger.
how dare you kill me?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
And so we get our other characters as well. We meet Fuzz and Fuzz's robot.
The
Yeah.
last Vulcan.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a little flashbacks of Men in Black. You know.
I think you're not alone on that one either.
Yeah.
I mean, I start to wonder sometimes about, you can rework things different ways, but as there's more and more science fiction, it's hard not to step on the toes of something else to have a concept.
hmm
Because, you know, the singer reminds us of Fifth Element, and
Right.
the little guy reminds us of, you know, Men in Black. I'm not saying that was necessarily the right way to go, but it's really hard to not step on
Well,
toes at this.
The mission orders at the beginning, I was like, oh, we got a Mission Impossible going on here.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And even at the end, when you see Control pop up again, it's like,
Oh, do you
Mission
mean
Impossible,
when they
Charlie's
they have
Angels.
that
What do we got here?
in the middle of the bar? Is that when you mean when
Yeah,
Control
very
pops up?
discreet mission orders.
Hey, let's read
Wow.
it right here. Nobody's
Everyone
looking.
gather around, come on.
Yeah.
Put it on the big screen over there.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
back to where we were.
Back to where we were.
We've
Focus,
introduced
guys.
the crew.
Focus.
So she gets she agrees to be joining this mission, and we get to meet all the characters. We talked about Fuzz a bit. We talked about Mel. We also get to meet Quasi, who's a Cameloid, last seen in Star Trek VI. And now he came to the attention of Section 31 because of Glioclusters. Glioclusters?
Theoretical.
I couldn't find anything about. I have no idea what that is. Does
They
anybody
may have
raise their
made it
hand?
up. It
what
might
that
be
is?
another Cordry Rocks just for
Right?
I
Yeah.
think so because it went on to talk about this way of thinking, looking at situations, but that didn't seem to be a thing that was. Matter of fact, he's very bad at it because he sees too many sides and can't decide something.
right.
So that doesn't. I couldn't quite figure that out.
Hmm.
And then we have Zeph, who, when you're talking to him, you're talking about the suit. You're talking about him because he is the suit,
Yeah.
and the suit is
Yeah.
him.
True dat.
What did she say? Low IQ. All talk, no low IQ, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about the suit.
You remind me of a Swiss Army knife. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't know if I like that.
I don't know what
I don't
that
know
is.
I don't know what that is, but yeah. I did think that was kind of funny.
So
'cause
apparently,
I
we
was
know they
thinking
have
the same
Swiss
thing.
Army knives in the Mirror Universe. We've got that going for us if we ever get there.
Yeah.
Maybe she was introduced to him in this universe after she came over.
No, Swiss Army knives are a big different thing in the Mirror Universe.
They're the wicker basket of the Mirror
They're-
Universe.
They're 8 inches long.
Sword. Yeah, like a big sword. Hey, it's got a huge can opener.
In our universe, Swiss Army knife carry you. Anyway. All right, so they're all introduced, and then we get to see our second Ocean's 11 type thing of walk me through what your plan was,
Yeah.
which was bizarre because immediately followed by the plan, which kind of has a lot of the same elements in it.
Similar.
I
Yep.
mean, it goes awry, but it does have some of the same elements. But Giorgio suddenly has these phase pods.
Have we
And so
seen
she
these
put-
before?
Yeah, so he puts one on the case that Dada No, interesting name, Dada No. Dada know what? I don't want to know. And then grabs the case because he has to let it go, and it is out of phase with everything else except the floor, apparently.
Yeah.
There's the major flaw. They can run through walls, they can run through people, but the floor holds them up. So
Hey,
maybe it's
well,
a multiphasic floor. I don't know.
When I
Yeah.
first saw that, I was like, "Oh, she's gonna get really clever with the chain, turning it on and off and stuff." And she was, and I was like, with you guys, I went, "Wait a minute, how's it not going through a floor? It went through a wall."
But I did like that point at which she turns it off because the special effects people liked it too. But the fact that with her having it off, her opponent is not in phase with her and can't do anything. So until he turns his off, she's got a slight advantage, or she can't be attacked. But you can't just like, okay, now I've turned mine on, I've turned mine off, I've turned mine on, I've turned mine
Right.
off.
They kind of went
Mhm.
through this whole thing back and forth. Well, she was fighting Star-Lord,
Yep, that's another
doctor with
note
a
that I got.
plague mask from the Middle Ages.
Yeah,
Right.
or maybe it was the Mirror Universe's version of Spy versus Spy. I don't
Right.
know.
Very interesting mask.
And I think to me this was the second big disappointment is that you have Michelle Yeoh. And I'm
Mhm.
sure you have stunt coordinators. You're gonna, choreograph these fights, and you know that Michelle can do them.
Yes.
It was shot horribly. It was shot in the way that those fights are shot that the people don't know how to fight. Close-ups and fast cuts and
Well, even that whole flipping the stage thing,
Yes.
I was
A lot
it
of
threw me
camera
off. I was like,
rotation
"Huh."
in that first fight scene.
Yeah, I thought it was a little much for me. I was like, what movie was that did that recently where the guy was slammed down and the camera followed him? And
yeah,
I'm
I've been doing
not,
that for one. Because
Yeah.
the first time I remember seeing it was in Happy Death Day. They did that.
Oh, well,
Um,
that's not what I'm thinking of, but yeah, at the same time, yeah, that kind of thing. And I think they did it a little too much. Looks like it just threw me off. I didn't care for that too much.
I
I
also have a
enjoyed the
note-
fight scene in general, but yeah, you're right. The
Mhm.
effects were underwhelming.
I also had a problem with. See, when you have a fight, I don't care which universe you're from. You're human, and you're being walloped on the head by a crate. You're going through glass, landing on floors. There seemed to be no cost in terms of energy.
Nope.
And I felt like, so they're superhuman. So when we talk about the guy later, they're exactly the same because they can just keep punching at each other and leaping over tables after they've fallen off of this and been, beaten around and flipped over and so forth, and they can just run away. You need to have a consequence. For me, that the fight lacked those things. It wasn't the choreographing of the fight. It was the way the fight was shot and edited that I didn't like. And I didn't like that they just wouldn't stop and there was no consequence to it. And there really should have been a consequence to
Yeah,
it.
about the only time there was a pause was when they crashed through that big window, landed on the bar, and Giorgio is kind of on the ground going, I need a second to catch my breath. But then they got up and went back at it.
Yeah.
And I was wondering as well, I don't have an answer to this, and I don't know. When Giorgio goes through the wall and her foot gets caught, it looks like her foot is phasing, so this might take care of it. But I'm wondering, okay, there's a wall. Part of your leg is in the wall.
Mhm.
If that leg is not out of phase with everything else,
It's part of the wall.
Yeah,
yes.
cut it off.
Yeah, that kind of bothered me too. The first time I watched, I'm like, why is she even stuck? She's phasing. Why can't she pull it out like between glitches or something? It felt very
Yeah, I'm
off.
with you.
Right, because clearly, like I said, it has to be out of phase, or she's got a, boop, boop,
She'll
there's a
miss
leg. Hey, I found one shoe with a part of a leg in it, a part of a foot. You want that?
She went that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
She went in here. Yeah, that was fun. Interesting.
But we get the big reveal at this point of the device.
God's send or God's end.
And
Okay, I
have
thought that
note
was a
about
little
that.
funny.
have a
I
note
did
about
think that was funny for a little bit.
Well,
Okay.
my problem with that, I would have liked the joke better
Mhm.
if we had not seen the God's End as the title of the entry like 20 seconds before. So we know the answer. If we didn't see it, we might be going the same thing. Yeah. Which is it? Is it this or that? I don't know. But we saw it. We saw it on
Yeah.
the screen.
Yeah, you're right.
I
No, I
turned
did.
the
I like
options
the
on.
I like the wordplay for a second, but yeah, you're right. They did just show it to us. So
Let's see what else. So you guys, I'm just kind of go through my notes here about, so we have the flashback. Let's see.
Oh, when she gets knocked out, because
Right.
yeah,
And
oh, wait a minute. Yeah, you're talking about the flashback when
Alok
Sans
fires on
brings-
her,
when Alok says, you know what that is, and you're going to tell us.
and she starts
yeah.
charging at him. He blasts her, and then she passes out. We have a flashback again.
Mhm.
So we get to see San in the era that we're familiar with Giorgio from, in the Mirror Universe. And did you get the impression that because San killed himself, that's what turned her to go, I don't want to use this weapon. I want to get
Maybe
rid of it.
well, maybe it
No.
did. Yeah, I think so a little bit because I mean, it made an impression on her that he died, so she obviously still cared about him on
I
some level.
forbid you to die. Best line
Yeah,
in the whole movie.
That's so emotional moment, Chuck. Don't belittle it.
Come on, man.
Yeah, yeah. But I mean, it was affecting her. What I'm saying, and so maybe she thought this wasn't the right thing to use. Which hey, if you're not gonna, it just seems a little too destructive, don't you think? This God's End.
It will take
Yeah.
out a whole quadrant. We'll get to the ending of the movie later, but
Although it
Mhm.
doesn't really, it doesn't really say how it does it. So you just have to assume that it leaps from planet to planet. Big gaps between planets. So that's a pretty big call there.
Mm-hmm.
because she says like like a virus. And so okay, all right.
Yeah.
I felt like watching it another time that yes, we have the reveal later on that San is alive, but I think I would have sacrificed that reveal, which was like, okay, for having more of these flashbacks of times other than just at the beginning of their relationship and when he dies. Like, have a little bit of that play out so you get a sense of that. Again, the more you're invested in the
Yeah.
character,
So if they had flashbacks where they were actually working together
yeah,
during that whole, even little sections of that whole competition, the Emperor
yes,
Idol, whatever it
something
is.
that would make you that would get that bond more than them just keep saying, "I am you, you are me, we are all together."
We are two. Yeah.
They should have had Ryan Seacrest hosting the Emperor Idol,
No.
the competition for him.
That's next season on
Oh.
Paramount Plus, a mountain of entertainment.
Yeah.
Now, before we go on to talk about the Godsend, I want to point out something. Originally, Section 31 was going to be a series. We know that. That's originally what it was announced as. And time goes by and time goes by and time goes
Mhm.
by. Finally comes out, it's going to be this streaming movie event. If you look at the sections of this movie with their
Mhm.
titles, they break down very nicely into 3 chunks that are about the length of a standard Star Trek streaming episode. So
Mhm.
essentially, I think what we're getting here is we're just getting those 3 episodes
Glued together.
jammed together as a script.
Yeah. I
Which
felt
I-
the same way when I first saw it. I thought, I said, okay, this was supposed to be a limited series or something like that. And I feel like they glued it all together for the movie. So, yes,
And
I'm with you.
And I think it suffers from that because I think that they kept a lot of the repeating stuff that we know that. You don't have to tell us that again. This wasn't last week previously on.
Yeah.
It was 20 minutes ago.
Hmm.
So I think the script suffered a bit because it wasn't really, I've never seen the scripts, so I can't say, but it just seems like it wasn't reworked well enough to just be this standalone thing, that it didn't have the scope that you want a movie to have, rather than, if these had been actually 3 episodes of a series, I think we like them a lot better because
Yeah.
the stakes aren't movie level
Well,
high, they're episode high.
well, I'm with you, but I think they should have done 4 episodes and filled out some backstory, like you said, with Giorgio and keeping the Delta in there, because
Mm-hmm.
why have another character if you're not going to use it? So yeah, I'm with you. I think 4 episodes would have been an awesome little limited series for this.
All right.
And I'm gonna tell you, I think watching this, I think it plays out like an episode of Discovery or something, a little
It
bit.
does. That's, like I said, that you granted it's a streaming movie, so it's not meant for theatrical release,
Right.
but it just felt like there was no sense of awe in it.
Mhm.
Even at the end where you're closing off this portal thing. And I think part of that was lost on me is because, closing another portal. How many times have we done that recently on Star
Mm.
Trek?
On Lower Decks.
On
That was the whole
Picard,
final season.
Yeah,
I just like, really? We're going to be dealing with another portal. Okay.
another trope. Put another trope
sure.
on the pile.
Just slingshot around the sun. That closes the portal.
Yeah.
Well, if we want to tick those boxes off, we have a fight in a nebula,
Yeah.
a mirror universe, obviously, and we have someone bent on revenge is the villain.
Yep.
So
A scorned
yeah.
lover.
All right. But let's get back to where we were, shall we? Yes, let's. I'm trying to figure out this safe house on this planet that we have random fires that just kind of
Yeah.
show up in
Watch
places.
your step.
What kind of facility is this supposed to be? You've got 5 people in it, and it's got a tunnel system that lasts for days.
And yet they're out in a few seconds.
Well,
They could have transported.
yeah, they took one of those
Or they
sled
a
things.
sled. They
See-
could have taken a sled, and 2 weeks later.
Yeah, exactly. Because I just couldn't figure out. We don't get it now. You don't always have to have an explanation of something like what the planet is, but if you're gonna show something as specific as these things shooting up fire, say something
Yeah.
about it. Anything.
Stay on the path. Well, just something. Yeah. They're just walking around and that's the way life is here.
Yeah. Well, look
Yeah.
at that.
Hey, well, actually, when they were in the tunnels and stuff, I was thinking, this looks like, was it Regulus One? Oh, Khan.
Yes.
Where was the star bases? Yeah. Hey, they had a whole huge cave in it, with food and everything.
Well, presumably
they-
they've got some of that stuff here, but
Yeah.
Giorgio determines that the only way that Dada No could have known about this thing was if he was from the mirror universe. So we have a few questions for him.
Mhm.
yes.
And their interrogation is rather interesting.
Impactful.
Yeah. Bad cop, bad cop.
Yeah. I want to know
Yeah.
what she whispered in his ear to get her field marshal to talk.
Yes, because he turned real quick at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I didn't realize that they were on the ship at that point.
Yeah.
I guess
They showed the ship and then they showed them like beaming in. So it
Okay,
made
all right.
sense.
all right.
Mhm.
I didn't pick up on that because it kind of took me by surprise when the whole sequence at the end, when it explodes and it's crashing and somebody's running on fire and so forth. I had to like, oh, okay, now I see what things are. Whereas other times they make this painstaking point of explaining where the person is, like over explaining it. So,
Sure.
but yeah, so they're having a discussion, and he's from the mirror universe. Just
The only way that he could have known was if somebody had told him.
there's a mole.
There's a mole, which I thought was a nice twist.
Mhm.
Now you can't trust any of the team.
Because that's the mystery in episode 2, the godsend.
Godsend or God's End?
The mole.
I don't know. I don't know.
They sound the same to me.
Garrett has found this garbage scow, and I'm thinking they specifically put it at the edge of a waterfall,
Yeah.
and I'm thinking, rust. Nope, nothing. Just there for looks. Just on the edge of a waterfall.
It was so it could drip and contaminate the local town's water.
Oh, I see.
supply.
I see.
Deuterium doesn't corrode.
Well, it certainly didn't, because
Well, it was also
Oddly
a
enough,
bunch of crap.
no matter how long it's been there, it's in fine shape. Can,
Yeah. The brackets between the windows on the windshield were rusty. Figure that one out.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that in Star Trek Beyond, you have Jayla doing all this work to maintain and get the the Franklin back up
Her
to
home.
and this one is no, it's great. It's a garbage gown. Look, it's great. It's ready to fly. We just gotta like pop this thing and it's all ready to go.
We got to find the battery.
Dust it off.
But they do take the precaution. Now they know there's a mole. They're in 2 teams of 3 to keep an eye on each other.
Mhm.
Mhm.
And they do a really, really good job of that, I think. A really good job. And I'm not kidding, even though Zeph, who probably makes boom, boom, boom noise when he walks, just leaves.
You think he'd go, where are you going? Rather than just, hey, where'd he go?
Even on the first watching, I picked up on the what are we calling the Vulcan when Fuzz isn't in his head?
Autonomous.
Yeah, just autopilot.
Autopilot.
Autopilot,
Yeah, you could tell. It's like, whoa, he had absolutely no expression. Yes, I'd love to join you. I'm very excited.
Yeah. I
Something's
did
off
kinda
there.
Yeah, I did notice that too when he went from a giddy little schoolgirl
He's either
to
giddy or psychotic.
Or
Yeah.
mad because you said little or infestation.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
I mean, I can understand the point about infestation if you take what he says is true, that they've been around longer than humans have been around.
Mhm.
But that brings me back. I forgot to mention it's like a little too on the nose. The name of his species is a nanokin.
Yeah,
Come
just look at my name and my title under my
Mannequin mannequin.
Yeah. I mean, it's like really this species called a nanokin. Okay, sure, we'll
Yeah.
go with that. Yeah.
Or wait,
Um,
what was that wasn't there a fish like species in TNG somewhere and their names were it sounded like a fish species or something.
We have the calamari.
Yeah, yeah.
there you go.
That's Star Wars. you
It's a
dude.
trap.
Yeah. That's that kind of thing, yeah.
Hey, blame the universal translator. He said a word and that's how it came out. So that's what we call him.
All right, so you have the two teams in groups of three. One's trying to fix the array, and one's trying to work on the ship, which
Mhm.
is in fine shape, just needs its power supply.
Yeah.
And the array is in great shape as well, just missing this one piece. Apparently, all those wires don't do anything,
Right.
which, okay, so why did we put them in the first place if they don't do anything?
Someone didn't like the audio system in the ceiling, so they just went nuts.
So that just
Wonderful.
needs it's one thing as well, and it's going to work. But then there's a problem because Zeph goes missing, and then suddenly the
The array blasts out a signal.
yeah, it doesn't blast out a signal, blasts out this giant red beam. I'm going, what kind of a what? Why does it have to do that to broadcast a signal?
So you can
Mhm.
see it.
Yeah,
It's a movie.
Oh,
Not
I was like-
everybody communicates with radio waves.
Well, the first time I saw it, I went, "Wow, it's like it's a Death Star or something."
yeah, really.
They
No,
borrowed it. They
ooh,
borrowed it
That's
from the
why I'm up a bit
Luxor
too much,
Hotel.
silly me.
Yeah.
Someone was inspired when they went to Vegas and stayed at the Luxor.
Luxor. Right.
We eventually do find Zeph, and he has apparently committed suicide. Although at first they think that he'd been murdered by Garrett.
Because there's a 25-centimeter brunette hair on him, and then she's got blood under her fingernail.
That matches Zeph's.
Yep. So
And he
you must have
has-
done it.
He has DNA or something on him that lines up with her.
And then here we see Giorgio put her Sherlock Holmes hat on again and figure out it must have been Fuzz.
Mm-hmm.
Which
'Cause
felt
of
like a
the-
very third act thing to discover, not 20 minutes after you've discovered that there is a mole. It just seemed like, oh, there's a mole. Oh, here it is. Here they are right
yeah.
there.
You were misdirected. You know, they thought it was Garrett.
Yeah, but it just seemed to go through all the trouble of setting that up. And like I said, within 20 minutes, nope, okay, we know who the mole is.
I did enjoy the moment where Giorgio said to Garrett, you know, I think I'm beginning to like you. And she goes, oh, if I wanted somebody to like me, I'd get a pet or a dog or
Puppy.
something. I would have gotten a dog. Like, ooh, slap Giorgio around again. That was fun.
Yeah, that was kind of funny.
Just put up Crazy Joe with Team Fuzz.
Fuzz. And it wasn't weird. I thought it was kind of weird that all these characters only had first names, except for Sahar,
And
Sam,
Garrett,
Fuzz, Mel, Garrett.
Yeah, well, I don't know if they just were like being very familiar. They weren't giving the expressive names because they just gave originally when Alok said who Rachel Garrett was. It just said Lieutenant Garrick, no first name. So I figure, they're a team. They work together. They just use a name or nicknames or
Sure.
nicknames like Competency Crusaders, you know.
Competency crusader.
Well, Fuzz starts naming off his kids: Blip, Clip, Grip,
Trip and
polio,
Trip 2.
polio,
Literally.
influenza,
Yeah.
cowpox.
Yeah. Right.
And there's 190,000 of those names out there. So
We got a long way. It's like playing 99 bottles of beer on the wall with the wrong
Yeah.
person.
So it had Quasi, Zeph. That was Rachel Garrett. She had 2 names: Fuzz, San, Mel.
I
Um,
of
thought that
course, Ilea only had one name. So I think for
for
Deltons, you have
Delton, yeah.
precedent.
Okay. I thought that Philippa gave up too easily when they were stranded there. They've got no transmitter. They can't get the garbage scow running. What are we going to do? We're stuck here.
Because that's the bottom of your arc. You've hit your low point. It's the bottom of the arc, and you're supposed to linger there for a while. And they linger there for about
30
5
seconds till Rachel goes, no, there's always another way.
mhm.
we cannot climb back up out of the bottom of the arc.
I didn't.
I did-
That wasn't in her character to give up like that, though.
No. I did like though when they were when Fuzz was revealed, and we had the chase on the skiffs, which I'm sure people said, "Oh, that's like Indiana Jones," or a ton of other things. Again, it's
See?
hard at a certain point to not have it reference something else. But
Oh,
I
They're
like
taking all the. By the way, I'm not sure if I'm right, but almost all of the movies we see reflected in this one are Paramount properties.
interesting.
Yeah.
It's the Fifth Element, Paramount. Maybe it is. I don't remember.
I'm not sure.
But I did like the transformation to the giant spider. I thought, we get to see the
Yes.
Cameloid do something
Right.
that uses its ability.
Other than change from one person to another.
Right. So that was I did like that. And how many of you out there, raise your hands, when that skiff went up in the air,
Mhm.
we're expecting that Looney Tunes kind of up and then down again.
Yeah, where they about yeah, I was doing the same thing.
They
I was like, is it gonna-
they got up to altitude, and there were clouds going by. There was wind, but yet particles were falling like snowflakes. Pretty much.
Yeah, because
straight
they're just
down.
using that filter. You got the filter. We're gonna use it. We used it on Terra. We're using it on this planet. We're just gonna use the heck out of that.
Someone messed up their layers.
Oh, and when they fell off the skiff before Philippa and Buzz went up,
Mm-hmm.
it had a very Spider-Man vibe there. I got you, and I was like, "What?"
And so
Thought that was
also a very anticlimactic really end to Zeph. Just kind of gets kicked off of the the skiff, and that's it.
Well, he was already dead,
He was
so
dead, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
leave
off
him.
we go.
Hey, if he's already dead and you kick him off and kill him again, is that murder?
No. But thanks for asking. Next question for
And then we find out that Fuzz actually knows, or he reveals that San is alive because he's telling all these stories. He goes, "How would you know that?"
now. Was it a
unless-
surprise to you guys?
That's it. Yeah, it was the first time. I would say, yeah, it was that he was
Say that
alive.
again?
Was
I
it a
don't-
surprise to you that the reveal that Son is still alive?
Yes and no. It kind of made very much sense when they show. You think back at the flashback at the beginning. There's a reason why they showed that. Not just because she became an emperor. It was to show the relationship between them two.
Well, to
So-
me, it wasn't so much a surprise, and that's why I felt like even if you had to sacrifice that, which you wouldn't necessarily have to have more of those that we talked about scenes earlier that show the relationship rather than day one and last day type of thing
hmm
to get a sense of that. So I feel like, if that somehow it meant you didn't have this big reveal, okay, that's fine. I'd much rather know more about the characters, not be one dimensional.
hmm
And Sand really ends up being one dimensional. He's driven by revenge and then repents at the end, or type of thing. But so then we're on to the third episode, chapter, briefing.
Yeah.
They get the garbage cow running because Alok has hidden I forgot what it was, the asymptote coil. That's what it was. And he said he always had a plan B on every
Yeah.
safe house planet,
hmm
tunnel, whatever it was. And they get it up and running, which then they jump to warp. Have we encountered cargo ships that go past like warp 2 or 3?
I thought they were right outside the nebula. Must have been because I'm not sure if did they go to warp?
Yes, because when they came out, they went shoot. It stopped, and all the dust fell off the ship.
Oh yeah.
And I give a little
Yeah.
choke. Like,
Yeah, at home. This 3D movie's great.
Yeah, really. Sense around.
yeah,
Yeah,
I it's like, whoa, that's a pretty fast garbage cow.
New and particle vision.
And it had a very strange set of shields.
They
And
it was like a tractor beam shield. They attracted garbage.
Yeah.
yeah, but I mean, they have because they put the emphasis on the shields and the tractor beam because that's all that they essentially had.
I kind of
And-
like this underdog situation where they're going with what they've got. Rachel even says, "What was it? Fire phasers." Is like, we don't have any. All we have is garbage.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made a note about that. Going somehow, Garrett has trouble understanding the concept of what a garbage cow is.
Yeah.
She has to be told like 4 times
Yeah.
by Quasi that this is a garbage cow. Get it?
Hey,
A
Even
garbage
Jordan is
cow?
judgmental, never helped anyone.
in the future, somebody calls the Enterprise C garbage cow. She goes, "Oh, thank you."
Yeah,
Because
it's
she has no
really nice.
concept.
I've done more with less.
Now let's go protect those Klingons. So it's not going to end well for you. I don't know about that. Anyway, all right. So their plan, which is an interesting one, is they're going to use the tractor beams to lock onto Sand's, it's so big, yet only has 2 people in it ship, and drag it through the nebula, and the radiation will wear down the ship's shields. And Quasi points out, and ours too, just
Yeah.
Right.
putting that out there,
Yeah. FYI.
which is why they're putting so much emphasis on it. But did anybody else get bothered by the fact that you have a first torpedo that's fired at them and take a lot of damage, and
Yep.
you can't take another one of those? A
And they
second
take
shot is
another one.
fired, even at closer range, less time to react, and they dodge it.
Yeah.
You had more time to dodge the first one, and it hit you, but this one you could dodge.
First one, shame on me. Second one.
Fire 1 photon torpedo.
Yeah.
And Garrett turns all chaos now.
She is what was she called before? Chaos Goblin. Oh, I have to back up. When they were getting the garbage cow, they never even named this ship.
No.
That's uncharacteristic. But they were getting it running, and it didn't run. And was it Giorgio kicks it? Gives it some percussive maintenance.
Yes, exactly.
Did we need that really?
It's a trope. It's a trope. Even in Star Trek, it's a trope.
I
by the
will
way-
say I liked the look of San's ship.
Listener Diane corrected me. MIB and Fifth Element are Columbia Pictures.
She's our research assistant.
Yes.
Thank you.
She's our AI. Ask some questions. Oh, and Crazy Joe says he hopes Control never sees Captain Kirk looking at her from behind the hedge. What?
Tool time? That's all I can come up with.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so the shields are down on both ships. They beam over, and a fight scene ensues.
Yeah, that's what I call episode 3's fight scene, because we've
Yeah.
had one in every episode so far. So there's
A time sink. It's a time sink.
Yeah, because again, at least this time around, you get the feeling that there are consequences, because there have to be consequences now, because this is the final battle. Before, they were doing as much, if not more, damage to each other, but there were no consequences. But now there are consequences to what they're doing. And of course, we have all sorts of lighting things and people getting stabbed and getting back up again, and that sort of stuff. What I was interested in, because the fight scene again, at the fight scene, I just felt like it wasn't staged.
Mhm.
It was staged well. I keep emphasizing it was probably staged well, but it was shot horribly.
Yeah.
You just don't get. Matter of fact, I think there was one shot that's repeated in it. I was
Oh,
going back and
yeah.
forth to get the screen captures, but I think there's actually a shot that's repeated, which is like, no, why?
Why?
Oh, no.
Why would you do that?
But
Yeah.
here's a question I have for you about logistics, because it's what's going on at the same time. Okay, so Fuzz says, "Peace out. I'm leaving, and I'm going to get in my ship, and I'm going to take care of this garbage scow. I'm
Mhm.
going to set the Vulcan on autopilot to battle against Alok, and I'm going to do this." So he goes at the ship and disables some of the stuff on the ship, and then heads back towards San's ship. All right, and they, Garrett and Quasi in the garbage scow, take off after him. You got me?
hmm
Yeah,
So-
I lost direction on who was chasing who.
Well,
in
that's the thing is, no, you didn't. They did, because Fuzz is heading back to San's ship.
yeah.
They're trying to keep up with him. We can barely keep up. Okay,
Yeah, they end up
so
in front so they can dump the garbage with the
at the
exploding
last,
ball.
at just when they dump out the trash, literally before they dump out the trash, he's in front, and somehow magically, when they dump out the trash, he's in back.
Yeah. That one. And the
I
Droom doll is crazy AF. I mean,
I-
that was a scary doll. That was a Chucky doll, in my opinion. We're all gonna die.
And it had,
Yeah.
it had self-awareness. I mean, clearly.
What kind of does it say? What kind of kid's toy is that in any universe?
Yeah, in the mirror universe, it would probably be
We haven't
quite
met the
well.
Droom.
Your life's in danger. We're gonna die.
This is a choke hazard. Have
It
fun.
was the
You know?
it was the Chucky version of.
I'm
the
gonna stick
doll.
with Teddy Ruxpin, thanks.
Like that's not as creepy. Anyway,
Yeah.
Furby. Now there's creepy for you.
During the fight scene between San and Giorgio, she gives him a big old hug and makes him pause for a second. That was unusual. Is that the definition of keep your enemies closer?
Well, I think she's trying to salvage him. And I think she's realizing from her experiences that she's had since she left the mirror universe, if you have to come up with some other way, and she's trying, right? She puts down her weapon
Yeah.
first. She tries to hug him. She does all these things, and he keeps rejecting it, which is why I felt like the sudden change of heart when he's mortally wounded is like, okay, but
Deep down, he still loved her.
but 2 seconds ago, so
You were running a big old sword through her cheek, which
Right.
had to hurt, and yet she's talking as if nothing happened. I'd be going, "Oh, I can't talk like that anymore."
son, what are you saying?
You can close your mouth and still make this noise. A hole in your cheek with blood squirting everywhere.
But San does die. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And
And yet she stands up and says, "Computer." She's got control of his ship. What's up with that? And does it go, "Oh, it's the Emperor. I gotta
I
listen."
better- But she's
Computer
not really
in
the emperor
program.
anymore even.
In program.
So the device, she activates the device and then happens to, let Alok know that this is going on. Oh, thanks. Would have been helpful to be in the meeting when you decided to do this, but okay, sure.
Yeah.
So they agree that it's worth sacrificing your life to try to put a stop.
When that thing activated, it sounded an awful lot like Borg.
It was also very ornate.
Hey, wait.
Very
Now, there was a couple of times they had that down, down, kind of Borg sound in there.
And it was spherical.
Yeah, it was like when they showed the outside of the, what was that? It was right around this time
Well,
frame.
Being spherical confused them because they were kicking around like a soccer ball at certain points in the fight.
Yeah. I was like, you know what this thing does? Don't kick it.
When they first showed it to her, when she was, in her gold uniform, her face was reflecting off of the facets a little too much. Like the facets that were angled away, you could still see her face going,
You know what it looked
good.
You know what? I'm with you. You know what it reminded me of was that entity that the Enterprise was stuck with, and the face was on the class in TNG. That's what it reminded me of.
They're going to sacrifice themselves by closing the portal. Although, well, it's not really closing. I don't know. Is it closing the portal or is it dissipating the ion storms that I don't know what.
Yeah, were the ion storms? Was this a nebula? What were these things? And this is where I had the biggest problem. I thought it was a kaboom device, yet she called it like a virus.
Yes.
And if it was a kaboom device, well, it went kaboom, but it didn't take out half a quadrant or a whole quadrant is what they said. This could take out a quadrant. It went kaboom and it closed this thing and took the storm with it.
Mm-hmm.
Suddenly the skies are clear. Like, oh, where's the rainbow in this scene?
Yeah, I was very confused with how this thing works. Yeah.
But hey, we're not Dr. Aaron, so we can't explain that.
No.
But we're gonna have fun talking to her on the cruise.
Well,
I'm not sure anybody.
For the show. Make sure we get it for the show. Save it for the show. I felt like the explosion of the godsend was like very anticlimactic, very kind of like, I don't know what's going on here. I don't know what they're accomplishing, and it's over. And okay.
Yep.
All right.
They got beamed out, and yet Garrett was knocked unconscious or something because she's waking up at the end.
Actually, when they were trying to beam them back or beam them off the ship, I was thinking, isn't Giorgio holding that thing?
Yeah. Right. Whoopsie. Didn't think
beam it back. No, beam it back. Beam it back.
They cut away at 3, so it was 3, 2, 1. They may have.
She put it down very gently.
She put it at their feet. That's why
she thought to herself, why am I holding this? That's not important. I'll just put it down. And then they
dramatic effect.
But yeah, that was my first thought. Isn't she standing there holding it in her hand?
Garrett gives Giorgio a hug. Perkiness is disgusting.
Yeah.
Another good line.
But we find ourselves
back. Have our mission Impossible. We're back in the club. She's got a very uncomfortable looking dress on.
You don't want to get your eye too close to those points.
Hey, don't spill a drink on her. Get ice.
It looks like a sparkly Orthanc. We just went to Lord of the Rings, people. Try to keep up. And her head is Sauron's eye. There you go.
Yeah.
And for some reason, Quasi is trying to pretend that he's Alok.
Why?
I don't know. Practice, I guess. I thought it was interesting that he goes through all these gyrations when we're seeing the first thing when he's supposed to be impersonating Giorgio.
Right.
When he's coming out of his disguise, and this one, he's just like, he's sitting down and it just kind of goes, poof, and he's changed.
Well, we've never seen him change back. Maybe it's harder to change into something than it is to change out of something.
Well, maybe so. Maybe so.
It's in the
depends
script,
on what size it is, I suppose. Anyway,
it's in the script that you didn't see.
But yeah, they're all together as a team. Even Garrett is coming back. because this you need somebody who's gonna point out what's right.
And we're introduced to Fuzz's
Control.
wife.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Fuzz's wife.
Wisp.
She's not happy with him.
It was Wisp.
So soon after the birth of her 190,000 children.
She looks good.
Yeah, I must say.
Hey, baby.
She wears it well. Although when
And
you
she
actually
has
see
a
a close-up
bad-
of her, she might have a little larger capsule inside of her.
So instead of having a bad Irish accent, she has a bad
Southern
Western
accent.
accent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't tell. Was it Western, Southern? It was not good, whatever it was. But
It wasn't Southern.
I think it was West. I think it was supposed to be Western. I guess. She said, "Ma'am," or something. That would have helped,
Yeah. Yeah, and then Jamie Lee Curtis is controlled. She gives us new orders. We're going to Turkana 4. Your mama for what?
Yeah. I heard
And
that. I was
if
like,
memory serves correctly, Takana 4, is that what Tasha Yar?
I was going to
from?
ask, have we heard of it? I didn't have a chance to look on Memory Alpha.
Why do I think that's what I'm probably wrong about that, but if anyone in the chat is with us, let's see, what's the easiest spell? Because I can't spell with the darn, so I'm just gonna.
I went with
Yep,
T-U-R
it is.
T-N-A.
She was
is?
she
Okay,
was
all
born
right.
she was
Woohoo!
born on Turkana 4.
Woohoo!
Good job.
I want you to deliver a child to Turkana 4.
Yeah,
Or
that's
sister.
okay. 'Cause
Not
later on,
yet.
you'll meet up with her.
Yeah.
It'll be weird, but you'll meet up with her, and she'll be wanting to do things. And
Right.
It'll be fine.
Oh, wait a minute. That is an interesting connection between Rachel Garrett and
Mhm.
Turkana 4 then. Okay.
All right. I want to, Thomas LaFord, who's a listener, wrote in to say, and also somebody that I know it's old home week here with listener Dan as well,
Right.
wrote in to say that he and his wife, Andrea, had watched the Section 31 movie and that she rated it as a 6. So we haven't rated ours yet, and
Okay.
Thomas had rated a 6.5 at best. He commented that it really felt like a made for TV movie, which I think we've pretty much alluded to.
Yep,
That is
that's-
true.
I think that's what we all
Uh,
felt like.
Had many of the same points as we did about Hunger Games, Fifth Element.
Yep. The one I couldn't, I didn't look up the Varon T disruptor in case
That's
that
the one
was-
that Kivas Faggio had. That little very L-shaped gun.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of the stuff we didn't talk about the phasing being kind of like the phased episode
He
with
was even dressed a
Jordan.
bit like Kivas Faggio. He looked like a updated version of that. With the facial implants and whatnot. From the Most Toys, TNG.
Oh yeah, right.
They kidnapped Data and he's got all the
So one thing I don't know whether they're confused about this, but one of the points is, didn't the Guardian Forever send Giorgio back in time to the mirror universe to create a better empire? When she went back, which would then be the actual history, I guess, when she went back just for that brief period of time, her feelings had changed, but the empires clearly had not. She
Mhm.
couldn't save Burnham, right? So she dealt more with Saru. And later on, we find out that Saru and other people escaped from the empire, but it didn't sound like the empire had really changed, but her actions there demonstrated that she had a concern for this nothing less than dirt character, really, in terms of how the empire sees him, and actually was inspiring to help, to them realizing they could get away from this. So she didn't change the empire. She realized she had changed, and she changed minor things in it, but the empire was still the empire when she came back through the Guardian. And then she's deemed worthy, and they sent her to 1294.
Mhm.
You know what? The Godsend would make a great Hallmark Christmas ornament.
It would, and lighting it would be nice and easy. 2 sets of lights, white and red.
Why'd the tree blow up? I thought it was more of virus thing.
This tree blew up, and then the neighbor's tree blew up, and down the street the tree
Like-
blew up.
Like the tree in the Christmas Vacation. You know,
It just draws so much energy it shuts down the grid. That's its weapon.
Oh, the sorcerer named Tim is the one who got our tree. But anyway, that's another story altogether.
Yeah.
All right, so we should. Thomas reminded me we need to go around
need
and
to rate
rate this.
We have a
sucker.
rating scale for this one.
God sends.
Ooh,
God
ooh.
sends
Gee, I was going to go with what was that thing again?
coil,
The
the asymptote coil.
no, the
I just like saying asymptote.
the Leo clusters because we don't know
Glio-
what the heck they are.
Clusters.
Leo
Leo
clusters.
clusters.
I mean, there's glial cells in your brain.
I mean,
but-
it's theoretical. I don't know. All right, so let's start with you, Chuck. How many glial clusters in a 1 to 10 glial clusters? would
I
you
think
give?
Giorgio said it best when she went, meh.
Meh? Meh?
That's
Meh.
the one I've been saving.
Right.
I'm gonna go with a 7. I'm gonna go with 7. There were enough things in here that I did like that I'm gonna leave it that way. But there were a lot of holes and gaps and like didn't really strike me. Why did they kill the Delta and why did they even put her in there anyway if she was just gonna die in the first scene? So
Hmm.
or the first fight scene. So 7, and I think I'm being a little on the generous side.
Mm. What about you, Craig?
Well, I don't. The first time I saw this movie, I came away going, it wasn't for me. But I watched it again today, and found that I liked it a little bit more
Mhm.
than I did before, because I guess now that I know the characters, maybe they should have developed the characters the first time around. It'd been all right. So it's a little chaotic. Like I said, it had that TV movie kind of feel to it, or several episodes stripped together. So I'm gonna give it a 6.5 because I'm not hating it, but certainly not my favorite.
Well,
Here
it's
it
tough.
comes. Here it comes. I've been waiting for this.
I am giving this one a 4.
There it is.
4. Wow.
I would have put money on that number.
Give him
I
a Kirk.
missed opportunities. I think
Yeah.
it should have been more of its own thing rather than sewing together what I'm perceiving anyway as sewing together 3 episodes, because they all had a fight scene. They all had their own beginning and end that didn't really matter for the other parts of it. I didn't like the fight scenes, and I was screaming going, you have Michelle Yeoh doing this. Why are you
Yeah.
shooting it this way?
Cheaping out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not making any sense.
Oh,
I
dear
Didn't
listener.
didn't like the fact they killed off Mel so fast. I didn't like the fact that they killed off the mech. I just so much wrong with this. I didn't see how, if Garrett had only been attached to this mission and then she wasn't going to be involved with them anymore, great. She's kind of learned something about herself and she's moving on, but it sounds like
Mhm.
they're implying that she stays with Section 31, which is like, I'm not
How
feeling
long?
that.
Right.
So
Yeah.
they were just, people have said, well, it's not very Star Trek. Like, you don't see anyone in a Star Trek uniform. You don't see this. I kind of knew when the name is Section 31, you're not going to have a lot of that. So that really
Yeah.
didn't bother me. They had a modicum of it, with references to things and so forth. So if it's supposed to be Section 31, okay, I'm fine. I'm fine with that. But I'm not fine with just a lot of these idiotic things that they did in this movie that they wasted. I mean, this is the first
First thing of this
Paramount Plus
kind. Yeah.
streaming. This is like, you may never have another one if this one isn't good. And this one wasn't good.
That concerned me as well.
I'm pissed off about that as well. I'm pissed off that, they're going to say, oh, it got slammed and see, this was a bad idea when we shouldn't do this anymore. No, it was a bad movie. It's a good idea. It's a bad movie. And, if Michelle Yeoh is serious about that, she wants to continue with the character, good. But have it be what it's supposed to be, something
Mhm.
more than episodes, something more than that look, something grander, something different, something complex, not full of tropes.
Yep.
It's,
Yeah.
Star Trek tropes and other tropes. Just, oh, I could go on for quite a while, I
Yeah.
think.
Well, I think to a large degree we all feel the same way. I I liked it a little bit better than average, but well, so okay, let me ask you this because I've seen this comparison online: Star Trek 5 or Section 31.
Um, I would have to rate Star Trek 5 a bit better.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, the audio went right. I'll catch them when they come back. I'll let them know.
What? You're not hearing us?
Okay, say that again because the internet cut out right as you were giving your answer.
Oh, me or oh, well, I was saying
Oh.
I said between Section 31 and Star Trek 5, I would pick Star Trek 5. Not like it's miles ahead, but it has a scope. It is consistent from beginning to end.
Hmm.
You have some changes, you have revelations about characters that, kind of integral to the what the antagonist is doing and about
Yeah.
the characters you learn something about. I just feel like this had none of that stuff.
Yeah.
We learned a tiny bit more about Giorgio, but it was an hour and a half movie. Something more than a tiny bit more about Giorgio would have been good.
Hmm.
I just too
A
much
missed
time spent
opportunity.
on a giant brooch space
Christmas
station
ornament.
that may or may not warp, because we're in disagreement about whether or not it actually warps. But I think that's like at this point, and we talked about the silliness of, oh, here's your mission briefing in the middle of the bar.
I didn't even think about the holy hand grenade of
Oh.
Antioch until
Oh,
now.
That's right. Yeah, turn on our mission orders right here. That's
Oh yeah.
oh, that's funny.
So
Yeah.
it felt very much like a disco episode.
You know what? They could have put this in right after she walked through the Guardian, and the next episode was this, and then we go back.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That the production values and everything was at that level. It
Excuse
was,
me. Mhm.
I don't know whether it's because the production value on Star Trek, like most of the shows, is now really high, and therefore it's hard to take that next leap, but you have to.
Yep.
It's an event. It's not just 3 episodes of a show. It's an
Mhm.
event. It's different. It's supposed to feel different, and it didn't.
Listener Diane
go.
says Rotten Tomatoes agrees. ST5 23%, Section 31 20%.
Well, there you go.
Like I said, not high, not much higher above, but still
Yeah.
higher.
I'll take the garbage scale for 50, Alex.
All righty.
All right,
Well,
let's wrap it up. We've been going for an hour and a half.
we have.
That's as long as the movie is.
So that's
Perfect.
right.
What
We've
would you
given
rather
our-
have? Section 31 or the topic is track?
Ugh.
So
They
you
both
feel free to
suck.
give us your rating on how many, of any scale you choose, just numbers, that's fine. Leave us a comment on the Facebook page, or we're on Blue Sky now, right? I did put us on Blue Sky, I believe.
Or-
So you can
Yep.
do that on Blue Sky. Let us know.
And what's the
what
phone
your
number,
rating is.
Chuck?
816 Trekker.
All right, but it's time to refill the dilithium chamber and try to warp on out of here. So you can find me,
Can we?
Clinton,
I'm sorry.
at right here, right now. Of course you can find that. Why
There
am
he
I
is.
saying anything? No, at comedyforecast.com. I have released a new episode to the patrons, so that'll be going out to everyone else very, very soon. And as I'm finally, I have a humidifier in here now, but you know what helped? It was turned on this entire time. Yeah, now it's on. So
Oh, there we
who
go.
speaks for you guys?
Go ahead, Chuck.
You can find us by searching for Technorama Podcast. Craig and I have been doing Technorama Podcast for almost 20 years. We're like 3
Yeah.
months away from our 20-year anniversary. And we do nerd science, facts, fun, history, mystery,
Stupid
television
jokes.
shows, everything.
Stupid jokes.
Stupid, lots of stupid jokes. Yeah, a couple of old guys reminiscing. So, Technorama podcast, wherever you find fine podcasts and not fine podcasts, we're there.
Where you find fine, or you say God's end, or God.
Oh, Clinton's on mute.
I'm not alone. Clinton's on mute.
Yeah. Keep
doesn't
making
wanna
hand
say it.
signals. We'll figure it out.
Yeah. You're on mute. You're on mute.
I'll fix it. Oh, can't unmute your guest because they chose to mute themselves. That's a new one. Take it away.
Let's hit the theme, boys.
Like magic.
Now he speaks.
If you like the show, please be sure to tell a friend about it and subscribe so you never miss an episode. That's important. We'd love to hear from you. Follow us on Blue Sky at The Topic is Trek, or visit our Facebook page, or call us at 816-TREKKER. That's 816-873-5537, just like listener Diane did. Until
Yeah.
next time, on behalf of Chuck, Craig, and myself, I'm Clinton, thanking you for listening. And as we always say here on The Topic is Trek, don't put on
put on
the red
red
shirt.
shirt.
Like this guy.
Was I too harsh on that? I don't think it was.
Done.
Okay. Yeah, I could
Well-
arrange it for another 20 minutes, but
I bet you could.
We're
I
about
told-
to die.
yeah,
I
I know that there are points when I do stuff like that, and Chuck and Craig just go, it's like that scene in Animal House. Yeah, he's on a roll. Just let him go.
And you know what I want is a bucket of popcorn. I just want
Yeah.
to break it while you're.
You mean like Quasi had when they were watching
That's right.
security cameras?
Yeah.
And that was another great line by Zeph. You know, I know, believe me, I know about working with psychopaths. I told you not to bring me. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, Zeph, we hardly knew you.
Good night,
All right,
Diane.
thank you for watching and participating, Crazy Joe, and listen to Diane. And if anyone else was popping in and out, and for those of you watching afterwards, thank you for checking us out. Our schedule coming up is a bit all over the place because people are traveling, including the upcoming Trek cruise. But we'll get word out when our next show is going to be out, and chances are we'll be reviewing one of the books that we got. Craig gets all of his books, Star Trek books, and we read them, and we have we give a presentation on
Yeah,
what was in
got
this
one.
book. Sometimes it's American Express
Right
and
there.
hotel chains, and sometimes it's not.
Yeah, that's right. I got one right there.
All right, and I was reading mine today. Mine is Star Trek Probe. It's a follow-up to Star Trek 6, no, Star Trek 4. Star Trek 4. So I've been reading that. It's interesting read.
I finished Sarek in about a week. That was the hardcover you gave us recently, and then I went back
Mhm.
and who gave me the Murdered Son, the Voyager story?
I did, because that was
Okay,
when
I
I
finished that too.
Trying to make
Yeah.
it around.
Yeah, that was
So
fun.
Trek. The topic is Trek Book Club. How about that?
Yes, yes. And I think I want to talk to you guys. I think maybe we also might want to delve into some comics and talk about
Yes.
the comics too.
I'd like that. I would like that very much, as a matter of
All
fact.
right. Well,
Oh,
we'll,
wait. I got one back here. You
well, we'll
read?
bid adieu. Oh, I feel like Emperor George. Adieu to you, and
I do.
we will talk to you again next time.
Bye,
Live long
everybody.
and prosper.